morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gents. This is about Casanova from Orlando, Florida, on this awesome international podcast, Good Wine and Great Laughs. The podcast for wine lovers, ladies and gents, summer movies, reviews, and hot topic discussions that affect our lives directly or indirectly, ladies and gents. And during the months of June and July, what I do here, besides have the wine of the day, I have the summer movies reviews. All the movies that come to movie theaters, Apple TV, Netflix, all new movies that come during these 2 months of the summertime, I do a review. All right? So if you like movies, if you like wine, movies, and hot topic discussions, ladies and gents, this YouTube channel is for you. If you like the work that I do, I appreciate the 3 things, ladies and gents. If you can click on the like button on any video that you watch, if you can click on the subscribe button and also share any of those videos that you watch with at least 5 people that you know, I appreciate your support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, ladies and gents, and today is Saturday, September the 13th, 2025, and the weather here in Orlando will be cloudy with occasional showers. Highs of 85 degrees and lows of 72, ladies and gents. Before I start talking about the topic of the day, I have to talk about the wine of the day, ladies and gents. Well, first of all, ladies and gents, my topic was about 9/11, since we just passed this past Thursday, and then a documentary that I'd never seen before related to the United Flight 23 and what happened. But then after I recorded everything, it was good to go. TMZ, when I was trying to upload on YouTube, TMZ was not allow me to use any of their content. So I have to start from scratch. And then I found another documentary too related to 9/11, kind of new information. And then to have the tragic death or Charlie Kirk, ladies and gents. So that's why I decided to change topic, because I believe this is very important for us to discuss. But before I talk about topic of the day, here's the one of the day, ladies and gents. So that's why I have 2 bottles over here. That's the one that I read open, but that's the same thing. So once again, this is the one of the day right here, ladies and gents. It's called Don Paulo. It's a Spanish red wine. And according to the label in the back, it states that Don Paulo wine is deep ruby tones with mixed complex aromas and red fruits, toasted, rounded with vanilla notes. On the palate is intense, full body, and well structured. Once again, this wine is from Spain, ladies and gentlemen. Alcohol percent of this wine is 13.6. Let's open right here and see what this wine is all about. Okay. Ladies and gents, this wine is rich in tannins. Not sweet at all. So for those that like full body wines such as Malbec and Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon, you're definitely going to like this one right here. I will give, for this wine, I give an 8. And the reason I give an 8 is because the level of the high level of tannins, but also even though it has a good level of tannins on this wine, it is not unbearable in my personal opinion. So if definitely I would pair this wine with definitely some grilled meat, especially some juicy, thick ribeye steak. This wine would be perfect. Or some lamb chops. All right, ladies and gents. The picture of this wine is going to be available on all my social medias. So if you like to look at this wine, take the picture to your wine store, try to find it. Go ahead, go to my social medias, and if you like the wine, please do me a favor, come back right here on this this episode, and make a comment and let me know what you think about Don Paulo, ladies and gents. So let's talk about the topic of the day. And the topic of the day, as you saw on the thumbnail, is Charlie Kirk shot to death in Utah. Ladies and gents, I'll give credit to Roland Martin and I've had it. These are the two videos from them that I'm going to play. I'm going to keep drinking this wine. I got my sandwich right here. I got some popcorn. After you watch these videos together, ladies and gents, I come back and I give you my 2 cents. So enough talking. It is showtime. Here we go.
Political world is shocked with the events out of Utah, where Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, a conservative organization charged with building up young people to support Donald Trump, MAGA, and Republicans, was speaking at a university where he was shot and killed. Shots rang out just as Kirk began speaking at Utah Valley State University. The commentator was hosting his well-known Prove Me Wrong table discussion at the time of the incident. The irony is in the situations that Kirk previously said that gun deaths are unfortunately worth it to keep the Second Amendment. A lot of people have been talking about that. There was video that was shown of police taking an individual down, but that has not been confirmed if that was the person who indeed fired the shot or persons. As of now, no suspects are in custody. Again, as we said, Kirk was answering questions from the audience, and this is what took place moments before he was shot.
Utah Valley State University.
How many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm going to give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
We chose not to show you what actually took place. You did hear the shot there, and it was moments later after when Utah officials said that Kirk had died as a result of that gunshot wound. Donald Trump and others from the right, as well as folks on the left, have decried the shooting. Folks have talked about prayers for Kirk's wife and children, and lots of folks have been commenting about what has been taking place. And as we said, as of right now, police have not said that anyone has been detained. We don't know the details. We don't know if this was one person, if this was multiple people. We don't know how far away the shooter was. We have none of those details. All we know is that Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, has been gunned down while speaking at a university in Utah. FBI Director Kash Patel posted this on Twitter. Go to my iPad, please. It says the subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you to the local and state authorities in Utah for your partnership with the FBI. We'll provide updates when available. Someone earlier had been taken into custody, but that person was released, determined not to be the shooter. But again, moments ago, FBI Director Kash Patel said a suspect has been taken into custody in the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk. So let's go live to Utah.
And I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah. Our nation is broken. We've had political assassinations Recently in Minnesota, we had an attempted assassination on the governor of Pennsylvania, and we had an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate and former president of the United States, and now current president of the United States. Nothing I say can unite us as a country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken. Nothing I can say can bring back Charlie Kirk. Our hearts are broken. We mourn with his wife, his children, his family, his friends. We mourn as a nation. If anyone in the sound of my voice celebrated even a little bit at the news of this shooting, I would beg you to look in the mirror and to see if you can find a better angel in there somewhere. I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American. We desperately need our country. We desperately need leaders in our country. But more than the leaders, we just need every single person in this country to think about where we are and where we want to be. To ask ourselves, is this it? Is this what 250 years has wrought on us? I pray that that's not the case. I pray that those who hated what Charlie Kirk stood for will put down their social media and their pens and pray for his family, and that all of us will try to find a way to stop hating our fellow Americans. With that, we're happy to take a few questions.
The FBI director is posting that a suspect is in custody. I would just like clarification. Do you or do you not have a suspected shooter in custody?
We have a person of interest in custody that is being interviewed right now.
That is not George Zinn.
That is not George Zinn. That is correct.
Are you still searching or looking for another shooter or anybody else related to this?
Yes, we are actively looking for anyone and everyone who has any possible information relating to this shooting.
Can you tell us details about the suspect being taken into custody? Where? How long ago?
We cannot at this point, but we will get you that information when we can.
Is there believed to be a second individual involved in the shooting?
At this point, there is no information that would lead us to believe that there is a second person involved.
Can you guys talk about the possible shooting?
Do you want to talk about what we know there? Yeah.
The only information we have on the suspect, the possible shooter, is taken from closed-circuit TV here on campus. We do have that. We're analyzing it, but it is security camera footage, so you can kind of guess what the quality of that is. But we do know dressed in all dark clothing, but we don't have much better description other than that.
Where do you think the shot came from?
The shot came from here on campus, from a location at a
roof.
Potentially from a roof, yes. A longer distance shot from a roof.
So to clarify, with the security camera footage you have and the person of interest that's in custody, does that match up?
That's what we're trying to decipher right now.
So did FBI or DHS have anything on the threat board this morning?
I can't speak to that.
I'll just say that the investigation's ongoing, and as soon as we have further information, we will be sure to release it.
Any indications of foreign intelligence involvement?
As of now, I can't comment on any of that.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about the security of the event itself? Who was there security-wise, and what happens on these kind of events?
Chief Long.
So my name is Jeff Long. I'm the police chief here at UVU, and I'll tell you right now, we're devastated. We're a small police department. We have a very large campus. We have over 40,000 students, and we love our students. We love our visitors, and we're devastated by what happened today. This is the police chief's nightmare. I'm very saddened for the Kirk family. I know his wife and parents found out about this. You know, obviously he's away from home. He's here in Utah. They find out by a police officer that visits their home. That's tragic. Nobody wants that. But I can tell you about our venue today. This was an open venue. This is outside. We did have 6 officers working that event. We had probably over 3,000 people that were in attendance. It sat down in kind of a bowl area here on the central campus. We have a waterfall area, and so he was kind of in a lower area, surrounded by buildings. We had some plainclothes police officers that were in the crowd as well. We train for these things, and you think you have things covered, and these things, unfortunately, they happen. You try to get your bases covered, and unfortunately today we didn't. And because of that, we had this tragic incident. So we did have officers there. We had Charlie Kirk's team. He has a security team that travels with him, and they were here with him when he was shot.
Was the gun recovered?
I'm sorry, see?
Was the weapon recovered?
At this point, I can't disclose that.
When Charlie Kirk was shot, there was a question being asked about mass shooting. Was that person apprehended? And do you know who asked that question?
Say the question again. I don't know if I understand what you're saying.
When Charlie Kirk was shot, he was answering a question about mass shootings specifically. Was that person apprehended? And do you know who asked that question?
I do not. We do not have that at this moment.
What kind of weapon was used?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have time for just one more question, so thank you.
Yeah, a question for the chief as well. Was it your team or Kirk's team or a combination of both that kind of set the security protocol for the event?
So we work together. He has his team, and they do this all over the country. We all know that. This is not uncommon for them. They're very comfortable on campuses, and I was coordinating with his lead security guy, and we were working together.
Was this a sharpshooter type shot?
Ladies and gentlemen, those are all the questions that will be answered today. Again, thank you for covering this. We will be updating you as soon as we have additional information through normal channels, working with law enforcement. Again, our deepest condolences to the Kirk family and to the students who were there today. I would just ask everyone everywhere to please pray for their family and to pray for our country. We need it now more than ever. Thank you.
Folks, that was Utah Governor Spencer Cox holding his news conference. That was not the FBI news conference. He was there, of course, with the campus police at that university. And so we still are waiting to hear from the FBI in terms of their news conference about what took place today in Utah.
The country is reeling after Charlie Kirk was murdered yesterday at one of his events by an assassin that clearly had to shoot like 200 yards away, one shot. All over social media, the scenes are horrific. Political violence must be condemned all the way across the board. You can disagree with somebody politically, and I disagreed with almost everything that Charlie Kirk says, and I fundamentally abhor gun violence. I abhor it. I don't think anybody should be shot and killed for having an opinion that is different from somebody else's. This has shaken us here at I've Had It to our core. It's terrifying. It's terrifying to see this. And I sometimes think when something like this happens, can we talk about gun violence? A lot of you know who have followed us for a long time. Last October, a young man that works for us, Javier, was shot and killed on October 12th, 2024. And it was devastating. I still think about it 15 times a day. Gun violence is horrific. Yesterday, right after this story broke, there was another shooting at a school in Denver. Guns in schools in America always seems to be a problem. But much to my surprise, there seems to be a coordinated response on the right that is really terrifying. And Midas Touch compiled a lot of it here. Midas Touch tweets, deeply disturbing rhetoric is spreading from influential MAGA figures, including the President of the United States and the owner of this website. He's referring to Elon Musk there owner of Twitter. They have no idea who the shooter is. And many of these same people mocked Democrats when they were victims of political violence in the past. In moments like this, we should be lowering the temperature and finding our shared humanity, not fueling more hatred and violence. And here's just a sampling. Libs of TikTok, caps lock, this is war. Joey Manorino, the Democrat Party must be classified as a domestic terror organization and their members, leaders treated accordingly. Enough is enough. Trump goes on blaming the radical left, Gutner Engelman. They've declared war. Another account, there's no going back after this. There's no words to be said. The only way this ends is with complete annihilation of the Democratic Party. Elon Musk, the left is the party of murder. One of the richest men in the world that owns this, saying the left is the party of murder. Sean Davis, the Democrat Party, is a domestic terror organization whose most fanatics will not hesitate to murder their political opponents. This was not a one-off event. It just goes on. Another page here. Brian Eastwood, Charlie Kirk getting shot. Is the shot heard around the country? I'm ready for civil war. You want to fight, you're going to get it. When Democrats lose elections, they couldn't steal. They murder the people they were unable to defeat. This is just, this seems to be a coordinated response to this. What happened to Charlie Kirk isn't civilized. And this response is not civilized. There is any progressive, and most progressives I know, every progressive I know is for gun control, gun regulations. I mean, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s dad was shot by an assassin. And since the shootings of people, Ronald Reagan and others, people have more access to guns. And the response to this, to declare war on the left, when we had a president that campaigned about defeating the enemy from within, while all of this stuff is going on geopolitically, Russia's advancing into Poland, Israel is bombing Qatar. This is whiplash. What happened to Charlie Kirk is horrific. I have so much empathy for his wife and children. Somebody I love was shot cold-blooded, and it is a very difficult thing to move past, regardless of what people think. I believe in free speech, and I believe in a free society where people can go out without the fear of getting shot.
I completely agree. And when you look at this situation, I have the same response and the same outrage to this as I do when we see school shootings. We have a gun violence problem in America, and we need legislation and gun control to address it. Regardless of my differences with Charlie Kirk, this cannot be condoned. This is an awful act. No one should have to be murdered, period, in the United States of America, but it continues to happen because our leaders are more worried about gun lobbyist funding than they are the lives of Americans. And the way the right is attacking the left when we don't even know who did this is chilling, to say the least.
It's incredibly chilling. And here's just a little compilation of how there is no suspect identified. Nobody knows who this is and what the motivation is yet. But I just showed you a compilation of tweets where they're calling people on the left, that's you that are watching the show, that's Pumps and me. They're calling us domestic terrorists. And every single U.S. left-leaning politician, former sitting president, governors have come out and condemned this unilaterally. And here is, again, some video of the right wing's response to this. It's not to lower the temperature. This is bone chilling.
A war. The left has been saying put a bullseye on Trump, a bullseye on his supporters.
Charlie Kirk's a casualty of war. We're in this country. We are.
They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us. And what are we going to do about it?
I mean, this to me, you guys, this is just absolutely a defining moment in this fight against what I believe the Trump regime is wanting to do, to silence dissenting voices. They're using this horrific tragedy, the cold-blooded murder of Charlie Kirk, to advance this fascist reign. And when authoritarians get power, everything in them is to cling on to it.
Right.
And to make us fight each other here and use horrific, violent language after a violent attack, murder, cold-blooded murder on Charlie Kirk is beyond the pale. And they create these imaginary things, and then they fight these imaginary wars. Nobody in the Democratic Party wants to see these people killed. We oppose with everything in us the access to guns. When I saw the video, unfortunately, of Charlie Kirk getting shot, I thought about those kids in that Sandy Hook closet. Mm-hmm. And there was one kid that survived, and what that child saw with the blood. It's all of this shocks the conscience. This is not a civil society. He was at a campus, mm-hmm. on a school campus, and he was shot in cold blood. And to put the burden on the left for calling out what we see when you hear people talking about, even Charlie Kirk talking about stoning homosexuals, I'm always going to call that out. When I heard Charlie Kirk say that we have to have casualties to protect the Second Amendment, I disagree with that. And that's my right. And it's his right to have another position. But I fundamentally, with everything in me, do not believe that we should live in a society where an assassin can get up in a nest and shoot somebody and terrorize the American public. And I don't believe that this is responsible at all by Fox News for Jesse Waters to be using that type of aggressive language, because this is going to spawn more killings of people who have a different opinion than one another. You square it up in the voting box, you smack talk on podcasts, you smack talk on cable news. You don't take guns to kill people who disagree with you.
Very well said. I was thinking about when Trump made his statements, and I saw how Fox News, Sean Hannity, Jesse Waters specifically, were spinning this. It took me back to the insurrection on January 6th.
Right.
And throughout the course of that next year, Trump kept saying, the people are mad. People are angry after the election, before January 6th, I'm sorry, because they've been lied to. And I'm like, because they were lied to by you. Mm-hmm. You created the situation where they're angry. There was never a call, stop the violence. We have got to stop political violence. And it continues that we have a situation where we are still stoking the flames of violence so that Trump can call Democrats the enemy from within. And this is war. It does. As much empathy as I have for Charlie Kirk and his family, I did not agree with him. But the way he talked about people dying, children dying, I understand why people do not have as much empathy, but we have to vote for empathy because we are a civilized society. How he responded to Paul Pelosi's attacks, how he responded to how the whole Republican Party reacted to a Minnesota senator laying in her bed with her husband and being shot. We cannot allow this, period, no matter what side you're on, left or right. And to stoke the fires in this is irresponsible, and it is going to have consequences. Political violence has to stop, and we have an administration that is stoking it.
And then here is the sitting president of the United States. Here's his response from the Oval yesterday. Highlight.
Years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement.
All right. People that go after judges, you guys, was him.
Right.
And this is just complete made up hypocrisy that the left is always doing this. There are so many examples of political violence, the majority of them coming from the right. And I condemn all of it. Charlie Kirk should be alive. He should be able to run Turning Point. He should be at home with his wife and kids. I disagree with almost everything he says, but I fundamentally support free, fair, safe elections, the town square where you can have dissenting opinions. This is what life is about. He is far right. I'm much, much further left. I don't want these people being shot and killed. The response from a sitting president who stoked a insurrection where his supporters wanted to kill his vice president, and then him saying that he's going to come out and get each and every voice. Who is he talking about? You guys, this is chilling, because what they want to do next is erode civil rights. And I'm talking about the First Amendment. I'm talking about dissenting voices against his administration. And it is the stuff that we've seen in the comparisons of Nazi Germany with this administration have been confirmed by his own vice president, J.D. Vance, have been confirmed by Mitch McConnell. So this is an attempt. The response of this isn't leadership to call for coming together, for calling for lowering the temperature. Every other former sitting U.S. president called for that, but not this guy.
Right.
And then finally, I want to leave you all with Laura Loomer. Of course, she tweets, "It's time for the Trump administration to shut down, defund, and prosecute every single leftist organization." She goes on, and Micah Efron says, "Every prominent Democrat is speaking out against this monstrous attack. Every prominent Republican is calling for Democrats to be imprisoned en masse." And that's the difference. That's the difference right there. And this is an absolute tragic thing that has happened. Political violence is horrific. Gun violence is something that I don't care who is shot, that if you live in America long enough, somebody you love will get shot. That is the fundamental problem here. I think Charlie Kirk had security. I think he even had on a bulletproof vest, and he still got shot and killed by an assassin. And I condemn it with everything in me, but I support every American's right to disagree with one another. And sadly, the right's response from the president trickling all the way down, what I'm reading from this is now they want to punish people who disagree with them. That's what my take is from this. And so it is with a heavy heart that we do this episode. It's terrifying right now. I'm going to be really honest with you all. I did not want to come in here today. I didn't want to film. We do what Charlie Kirk does on a much, much smaller scale. We built a community with you all, and it's terrifying. When I pulled out of my garage, I was scared. And this is not a way to live. Our country is disintegrating before our very eyes, and it is so incredibly sad. So we'll hopefully see you all around later today for more news, but I'm not going to lie with you guys. This is really, really provoked a lot of fear and sadness in us to see this happen to somebody who does a similar job than what we do, even though I disagreed with him on almost all of his points. I do not think there is any space in a civilized society for somebody to be shot on a campus, sitting under a tent, expressing their opinions. All right, we'll see you all later.
thinking more critically and clearly about how we solve our problems, how we better the country through policy, through changing hearts and minds. And it's not the end of a barrel of a gun. Maybe you've already heard, but if you have not, anti-Semite, white nationalist, white Christian nationalist, Charlie Kirk was shot and injured, very possibly gravely injured at a Turning Point USA event in Utah. By my ear, it sounded like, I've listened to the video a couple of times, it sounded like a high caliber weapon. From the multiple angles of the videos that I've seen, it does not look good. He looks to have been wounded gravely, if not fatally. This video absolutely does not serve to revel in his misfortune. Charlie Kirk, while I think he is abhorrent, I think his views are disgusting. I think they are bad for the United States generally, or specifically and more widely the world. He has a wife and he has at least one child. If Charlie Kirk dies, his son, I believe it's a son, will be fatherless. If you believe, I'm going to get to some stuff here, but let me just say this as a preamble. If you believe in the betterment of humanity, our society, if you consider yourself a humanist in any way, this ain't the way. Political violence, whatever Gandhi said about, an eye for an eye just leaves us all blind, leaves the world blind. There's profound wisdom in that. What I want to talk about, though, very briefly, is what I want you to pay attention to in the coming days, in the immediate aftermath of this attack on Charlie Kirk. And then I want you to look back and remember. While I'm talking, I want you to think about the assassination of Democrats and the attempted assassination of Democrats in Minnesota just months ago.
Right.
And how that was dealt with by Republicans and how it was dealt with by Democrats. And then I want you to look at this moment, this current moment we're in right now, and how Democrats are dealing with this. Are they reveling? Or are they outraged? Are they disgusted? Governor Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, went on Blue Sky and said the attack on Charlie Kirk is horrifying. Political violence has no place in this country and should never become a norm. I'm sending my sympathies to his family and his friends at this time. One of those friends, podcast guest, Gavin Newsom, the attack on Charlie Kirk is disgusting, vile, and reprehensible. In the United States of America, we must reject political violence in every form. Both of these messages are true. It's not just politicians. Jessica Tarloff, one of his colleagues, a genuinely good and nice man. I would argue with that, but even though he's not a good and nice or decent man, does not mean he deserves to be gunned down at an event. A genuinely good and nice man, wonderful husband and doting dad, that probably is true. This is horrific, praying for Charlie and anyone else affected. And then a colleague, someone you probably know well, David Pakman, also on Blue Sky. Charlie Kirk was apparently shot in the neck at an event in Utah today. As of this time, his status and whether he is alive or dead is unknown. Absolutely terrifying, disgusting stuff. True. We need to model good behavior and be better than this. And not for a pageantry. Not for fake effect, but because it's who we are. We are better than the other side. We are more moral. We have more dignity, more decency. We provide more value and worth to the world than to celebrate or promote political violence. If it's bad for the Republican Party to celebrate political violence or to remain quiet, then it's bad for us. Why could it be good for us to do the thing that we abhor about the other side. Let me leave you with this. I'm not going to leave you with this. I got one other thing. I want to show you what the right is saying right now in the wake of this, of one of their guys, how they're acting. But before I do this, there's an account on Blue Sky, and I believe on Twitter, called Pope Hat. Apparently they've changed their name to Stand With Chicago Hat. This is a quote tweet or a quote post of this from Nicholas Grossman. Political violence is bad. It usually begets more political violence. Celebrating political violence is bad. It usually encourages more political violence against various targets. Campus shootings are bad. They make everyone on campus less safe. It is bad that what I wrote here is controversial. Nicholas Grossman, what you wrote there is not controversial. And it was retweeted, reposted by Pope Hat. Political violence disproportionately hurts people with less power, not people with more power. Political violence will disproportionately hurt people of color and women and LGBTQ people. It's not fair, but that's the way it works. Celebrating political violence means, at best, indifference to that. If you're celebrating this, look, we can take stock of what you reap, you sow kind of a thing. I get that. But that's not celebrating this. That's not being gleeful or delighting in the possible leaving fatherless an innocent child, a baby who had no role in this. Even though Charlie Kirk has said that unfortunately gun deaths are worth it to keep the Second Amendment, headline here. Even though that is the case, we are better than that. We know that not to be true. And we can accomplish our goals without resorting to morbidity. This does call for solemnity. You know what I mean? So let me share with you what Jason Chaffetz, the former Utah congressman, the guy who, when Donald Trump dropped the old grab him by the pussy tape, he said, "Oh, I can't vote for this guy. What will I tell my kids? What will I tell my daughters?" And then has gone on to be nothing but a Trump sycophant.
Right.
This is what he had to say in the immediate aftermath of the shooting. He's on Fox News right now, acting crocodile tears, solemn. Oh, sullen, what are we going to do? While blaming a marginalized community that faces violence and death every single day in this country. This is how Republicans act versus what you've just heard from how liberals and Democrats and reasonable, decent people react.
And like I said, there was a light police presence. I'm sure, I hope there were some undercover people. Charlie has his own a bit of security, but not to deal with, a couple thousand people that were there to see Charlie. They had microphone challenges because there were so many people, they couldn't get all the volume that they wanted. People are having a hard time hearing. But I think when this story is written, I don't think it was a coincidence that the shot rang out when he got a question about transgender mass shootings. That maybe, hopefully I'm wrong. I'll probably get criticized for jumping to conclusions, but I'm just telling you, in the 30 minutes or so, I thought, wow, I don't think that's a coincidence, but we'll see.
So which team are you on? Who do you want to be? Who do we want to be? I grapple with things like this a lot because I feel one way, like for instance, in my heart, I feel one way, I feel a different way in my brain. This isn't one of those cases. But oftentimes, for instance, when the death threat came against Brittany Page and myself, or death against me, rape and death against Brittany Page, I wanted nothing more than to out him publicly. I wanted nothing more than the absolute maximum. But I knew that wasn't going to do anything. That was only to serve my selfish feeling better about things. We need to be thinking more critically and clearly about how we solve our problems, how we come to solutions, how we better the country through policy, through changing hearts and minds. And it's not the end of a barrel of a gun. I welcome your feedback. I'm sure there's people who disagree, and that's okay. Let's talk about it in the comments wherever you're watching this video. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. I welcome your input. I encourage your input. Let's talk about this. To Charlie Kirk's wife, if I was a praying man, I'd be praying for you. But again, thoughts and prayers do nothing. Policy is how we change the society in which we live. I love you guys. Be genuine. Now more than ever, take care of one another.
And ladies and gentlemen, on the last minute, I added this video of Dollemore. Give you credit for him for his work. All the videos that's being used for this podcast today is going to be available under the description. Click on their link, support the work, ladies and gents, if you believe what they stand for. All right. Once again, I give credit to Roland Martin, Unfiltered, credit to I've Had It, and credit to Dollemore for the work, the great and good work they do, ladies and gents. Well, first of all, let me just clarify one thing. I'm not celebrating the death of this man. Not at all. But the same token, you cannot forget that word has consequences. What you stand for has consequences. Okay? I got a video right here on TikTok from Charlie Kirk on 2023. I'm going to play it for you guys real quick.
In a society, when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death, that is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe. You will never live in a society.
So, ladies and gents, these are his own word. Okay? Homeboy believed that in order for us to have the Second Amendment right, some people's going to die. So, those lives, in my opinion, and I accord to what he's saying, are not precious in his point of view, not my point of view. You heard his own word. So he was willing to sacrifice some lives being killed by gun violence in order to sustain the Second Amendment. All right? Another thing too, I'm going to show right there for you. Right? It's right here. Take your time and read. Say right here that Charlie Kirk spent his entire life despairing immigrants, disrespecting women, and blaming black folks, only to get shot in one of the widest places on earth. Now, my second question is this. Is Donald Trump going to send the National Guard to Utah right now? You talk about so much violence. Now he make all these videos about that Charlie Kirk is a martyr and all this stuff. Now, on the first video that you guys watched, the Utah governor talking about the tragedy, to put it together, and how we're going to fix that. My main question is this. How much money does he receive from the NRA? Because the majority of the Republicans, a high majority, are on A+ when it comes to the NRA. That means they receive a lot of money from this organization for their campaign. I'm not sure if it also involved their own pocket. But them just focus on their campaign to keep being reelected with their public office. All right? So now, I truly believe one thing that's saying for many, many years, and I believe that was one of the gladiators' lifestyle. You know, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Now, nobody knows who shot Charlie. His affiliation, political affiliation, his beliefs, and his motive has been not discovered yet. So today's Saturday, probably you have some updates because now the thing happened on Wednesday, I believe. Yes, he got shot on Wednesday. So I haven't seen anything on the news yet. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, if it has any information, because I suspect that's the person's interest. Some people have been custody, like you say, the reported 2 people that was brought to custody for answer some questions. They're already being released. So now you may find, I don't know yet. So I'm going to do a search about later today to find out, give myself some update about this whole situation. But as far as I know, there's no information at all about the person. Like I say, who the person is, his political views, his personal motive to kill Charlie. So I'm not going to assume anything. But as you can see on the other side, Fox News, as a show over there, and the other side, they're already talking about, the Democrats did. First of all, you don't know. That's completely irresponsible for you as a political person or a TV figure or a TV anchor to jump on the guns because you don't have the information. So if more people die, it's going to be on you. It's going to be on your hands. Now, it's of course sad that 2 children now are without the father. You know, but the same token, the society that we live in, ladies and gentlemen, we need to be very careful because different people trigger in a different way. Now, talk about Tyrone of his big lips or his big nose. Let's give an example. Doesn't trigger him. But if a white person call him the N-word or he be humiliate him, it's going to get to the point that Tyrone is going to get sick of it. And maybe Tyrone is catching hell by Johnny because keep saying stuff, keep picking on Tyrone, and then Tyrone get fed up. Next time you see Johnny and McDonald's and Tyrone does something about it, is the consequence of actions of Johnny. That's the reaction of Tyrone. So once again, ladies and gents, we do not know the motives of that person. And everything that Charlie, since I believe he saw as being 18, just like Steve Miller, the same way too. Some way, somehow, they decide to get into it in the political arena, and then came with the hatred of all the groups, you know, and there's consequence, ladies and gents. So now look at like the Jesse. Now, to explain the difference between the grief of one party to another, and also the same thing here. When the Minnesota politician died, I'm going to hold the phone here for you to read. Say right here, the entire right wing is going absolutely lost their minds of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And once again, not make no jokes or no fun about it, but just remember how none of them gave a damn about Melissa Hartman, a Democrat lawmaker in Minnesota, that being assassinated just a couple months ago. And Trump basically completely ignored the situation. So that's the difference of the two parties. And there are videos, you can Google yourself. There are a bunch of videos of Charlie Kirk that he said he doesn't believe in empathy. Empathy is a weakness in society. Now I've seen a lot of Facebook now videos and comments in the like, oh, some white Christian, oh, he's with the Lord, yada yada yada. You know, ladies and gents, I'm just going to state one thing right now, as far as my own personal opinion and my personal experience with the high power, the Almighty. Okay? If you live your life on this earth talking about the gays, talk about transgender, talk about bad stuff about these people, blacks, Jewish, or any kind of different human beings on this earth, and do whatever you can have on your power to put them down and subjugate them in order for your white agenda to flourish. And if you think that you make it to heaven, I think you make a big mistake. Because the God that I know is very jealous of his creation, of every human being, different groups that he created. The same way as nature. He created nature, he created the trees, the plants, the different animals. And if you completely disregard and mistreat all of those groups, and you're expecting that we're going to heaven, spend the time with the Lord, I would advise you to spend some time, read the New Testament, and have a deep soul search about what you're doing. And on the last video that I post, the video of the church, the Vinings, sorry about that. At the Vinings Lake Church, that the pastor was giving a direct message to Trump, and he said, for you to go to the next level is how you live now. So I'm saying this to say that if you live a life or like he did, do not expect it. You're going to give, or you're all going to give account, ladies and gents. You all give account. But the way you live your life right now, subjugating and talking all this trash about people, and then that's God's creation. You think that you're special just because you're born white? You think you're a special group and you're better than everybody else? You're about to have a great awakening once you go to the other side. And guess what? There's no turning back. There's no way. Heavenly Father, let him go back. We could let him fix it. Sometimes God gives opportunity because there's a bunch of experience of people that went to the upper room, that have a death life experience, and for some way, somehow, it got sent back. That's God to decide. That's nothing to do with me. So be careful, ladies and gentlemen. Be careful. That's what I'm going to say. Be careful what you're talking about, how you treat people, because nobody knows when the time is come. Do you think that Charlie, even though security, he thought that on that event, that was the day that he would die? Nobody leave their house or Maybe some people die in the house, you know what I mean? But you think about by the time you woke up in the morning and you think, oh, today is the day that I'm going to die. No, everybody goes by their own business. Go to work or you're off. You know, if you don't work, you know, you take care of the kids, whatever your business is all about. Nobody think about that. So, ladies and gents, now, Michael, once again, my main thing is I feel really, really sorry for the kids because the kids are innocent about what the parents, the adults are doing. You know, and I hope that his wife, on this deep, deep moment of sorrow and pain, that she turn around and focus on the right path. That means see the work that her husband was doing, and it's not good for society, and that she can raise their children away from this path. Because if she feel all that pain and rage and anger, and it's going deep down, it's going to be believing in what the Fox News is telling, she's going to pass all this anger and pain and hurt towards her children. And her children, the boy probably is going to be, his father 2.0 and his daughter 2. So I'm going to leave the kids alone. I'm just giving an example. But it's very important, ladies and gents. The whole message of this podcast today is how important on what you're doing and how you treat people. Because nobody knows what you're saying and what you're doing, how it's affecting other people, and you do not know how they're going to react towards you and towards everything that you believe. Let's say, for instance, I'm going to close that. Let's say, for instance, even though this person did not get caught, but you do not know the information that he got. He could just eliminate, neutralize Charlie and go after his family. That one thing it could be. I don't know how. Nobody knows how many people are involved in this situation. Do you understand what I'm saying, ladies and gents? So, all I'm going to say is this, ladies and gents, think about how you're living. Think about the things that you're doing and the things that you say towards people. Because I say this one time, I'm going to say that before, and I'm going to say that again. The law of physics states for every action, there is a reaction. And plus has the law of the universe and has also karma. All right? So on this note, I'm going to shut up. So please be safe, be kind, and be blessed, and do the best what you can do with what you got. Salute. And I see you next Saturday with another awesome podcast episode. If you like the work I do, please click on the like button, subscribe, and share this video with at least 5 people that you know. Holla!
down with the put up for the #1 spot. Pushing my rap like the push out on the block. Holding my down, sucker rappers get lost. Coming from the bottom, moving straight to the top.